Hello, this is Barrett from C4 Cyber Club at Cypress College. In this video, we're going to cover Lab 2 in the NETLAB Plus Ethical Hacking Lab series, Social Engineering Attacks with the Social Engineering Toolkit. Very interesting lab, a fairly scary lab because it shows you just how easy it can be for somebody who understands how to use these tools, how they can very easily social engineer you via email, via phishing attacks, and capture your passwords or what's called credential harvesting. So in this lab, we will be working with the Kali machine. This is going to be the attacking machine, and we will be targeting the OpenSUSE machine as the victim. So you'll be working with this system here and the Kali machine as well. So real quick before we hop into this, I really like this image, the anatomy of a spear phishing attack. So we're basically looking at a situation where, an attacker, he's targeting a specific person and he's saying, okay, they work at this company. Let me find out some more information. So they might look at their LinkedIn account or their Facebook account and say, oh, they have a really close friend. His name's John, and we're gonna fake John's email address and send a personalized email. Maybe with, in a lot of cases, it's including an attachment, but to relate to how this lab is going to work, maybe we'll send a link and we'll say, hey, I'm working on this project. Can you log in? All you have to do is log in with your Gmail account and it'll send you to the page so you can contribute to this. They say it's a related work spreadsheet or something like that. So they send it. The email's opened and they say, oh, look, it's from my favorite person, John. So of course I will go ahead and open this. I will click the link. And then what happens is it opens a website, causes credentials to be stolen, which is called a credential harvester in terms of the social engineering toolkit. So that's basically what we're looking at here in this lab. So let's go ahead and get to the first part. Okay, so once we're in the Kali machine, we want to open terminal. And let's just type in SE Toolkit. Stands for Social Engineering Toolkit. And the very first time it's going to pop up, it's going to tell you it's a little out of date. That's okay. Just go ahead and hit enter. And let me maximize this. And you're going to see here, it's going to actually give you a warning. And then it's going to say the social engineering toolkit is designed purely for good and not evil. That's great. Is how it should be. But we all know that bad people are also using this. But essentially what this tool is used for is for security researchers, penetration testers. This is an excellent way if you're doing a penetration test for a company, which you'd be under contract and you're legally allowed to do this. Otherwise, this is not legal. But it's used by pen testers to test the human area of security vulnerabilities. Because what we'll see today is even if a user has a super strong password, it could be 10 plus characters with uppercase, lowercase, numbers, it could have symbols, all these things. Even if it's a complex password, if they are tricked by a phishing scam, it's not going to matter because those credentials will be harvested one way or another. So anyways, I'm sorry, I'm getting off track here, but so essentially we just want to hit yes. We agree to the terms of service. We are the good guys. We are, we are legitimate penetration testers. We're a white hat hacker, whatever the case. We will not use this for malicious reasons. Okay, so once we're in here, continue through the lab. The lab does a great job of detailing exactly the areas that we're going to be working with. You know, you could explore the social engineering toolkit a bit. You can press 6 and get help, get a little bit more details about it. I encourage you to play around, and of course only in these sandboxed virtual environments, but you know, check out what options are available. But in this case, in the lab, we're going to do social engineering attacks. So we're going to choose one on the menu. We're going to do website attack vectors. We're going to do this credential harvester attack method. And you'll see here, it gives a little bit more details of all these different options. So the credential harvester method will utilize web cloning of a website that has a username and password field and harvest all of the information posted to the website. So here you have the option to choose from a template. You can clone a site, or you could also do custom imports. So this tool really allows you to get as custom as you want. If you're good with HTML, and you could really detail this and create something very good looking. But in this case, we're just going to go with the web templates. So now what this is asking for, it's asking for the IP address for the post back. And so we want to set this to the IP address of our host machine, the attacker machine, which is the Kali. So we know that our IP address is 192.168.9.2. If you ever want to reconfirm that, you could check that on the topology. So we see here, this is on the 192.168.9 network, and Kali's host is .2. Okay, so we go ahead and hit enter there. That's set. And we have a handful of different templates to choose from. We're going to choose Google, which technically is Gmail. Let's go in. So you see here it's cloning the website, google.com. Technically it's cloning gmail.com. And so Apache may not be running. Do you want to set to start the process? So what it needs us to do is actually start the Apache web server on the Kali machine. So you'll see here, starting Apache. And then all files have been copied to /var www.html. So that's important. This is the location of the web server files. So anytime if you're running a Linux machine, you start up at the Apache web server. This is where you could essentially host a website from, you know, that machine. So we've done what we need to do here, and it would like us to open up a new terminal. Okay. So let's go ahead and move to that location where I copied the files. So cd for change directory, /var /www /html. And now you'll see that we are in that folder. Go ahead and do ls-l to list, do a long listing of the files. We see 3 files here. First things first, the index.html, this is basically the clone site. Post.php, this is a file that we're going to need to edit in order to change the location of where this information is posted back to. So let's go ahead and do that first. So we'll run Nano. Nano is one of the most common text editors in Linux. And you'll see that opens up. This is a very small file. It's just this one line. I'm going to go ahead and press the end key to hop to the very end of this line. And you'll see in the lab, what we want to do, we want to remove this google.com within the quotes and change this to the IP address of our Kali machine. Because remember, we want to post this information back to us. We don't want it to go to Google, like the site because it cloned this website, it still has the google.com address in here. But we want to change this to the Kali machine. To save, to exit out, you just do Control X. And then when it asks to save, you say yes. Oops. Okay. So now you may be noticing this harvester file here. Let's take a look at that. So we'll say nano, and I'll show you a little Linux tip here. I'm going to start typing in harvester, and I'm going to press tab to autocomplete. I don't have to type that extremely long file name. And we see here that this is blank. So it's blank because we haven't harvested any credentials yet. But we'll see that once we do, the information will be displayed here. Okay, so what we're going to do next is we're going to switch open to the OpenSUSE machine. And I already have it logged in here. And we're going to open Firefox. And keep in mind, this machine here, this could be a Windows machine, this could be any type of machine. This is the victim's machine. They just received that email from quote unquote John, the fake John that came from the attacker. And let's pretend that they clicked on the link in their email. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to type in the IP address of the Kali machine and add, just that. And remember that this is accessing the web server. It's accessing that index.html file, which is the clone of the Gmail login. This is going to take just a couple minutes, but in the meantime, it's important to note that when you, and I'm sure a lot of you have seen examples of these type of phishing emails, you may not necessarily get an email that says, please go to this address 192.168.9.2, because that looks very suspicious, right? So what you'll come across is a technique called Typo Squatting, where they will actually register a domain that will link to this location, but it might be something, they might register qmail.com or Gmail, maybe with a 1 instead of an L, something like that. So this is why it's important, and it's actually even possible to, in an email, have it look like, say, it goes to gmail.com, but the actual hyperlink is going to this IP address. So that's why it's important to often hover over a link rather than click on it. Sometimes you could right click on it and get properties as well and see where the hyperlink takes you. Or also at the end of the day, verify after you've clicked on a link, verify what kind of address is in the address bar. Is it HTTPS? Is it actually on the legitimate Gmail server? So something to keep in mind. Okay, so, but let's pretend we didn't notice any of that. We're just saying, oh, I trust John forever, and he would never send me anything malicious or something that would mess up my computer. So yeah, sure, I'll log into my Gmail account, and that way I can access his shared files. So, and let me enter in my super secure password. It has numbers and capitals and lowercase and got all these different characters here, and look how long that is. Right? Oh, that's weird. Huh. Seems like Gmail crashed. And at this point, a user just might be confused and say, oh, that's weird. Sometimes it happens. And they might just say, oh, let me just go back to gmail.com and I'll log back in. Well, so let's see what happened on the attacker side. So now another quick Linux tip. Since we had just run that nano harvester, I'm just going to press up on the keyboard and it brings up the previous history. You could actually keep hitting up and you'll notice how it scrolls through previous commands. So let's go ahead and look at that harvester file. Okay, now we got something. So remember, in the beginning of the lab, I was saying how even if you have a super secure password, if you succumb to this just general human error and phishing attempt and click on a link like that, you're going to see this is a really strong password, but it doesn't matter because, we were able to harvest that because the user clicked on the link and entered in their details in that username and password field. So I believe that is the end of the lab. Yeah. So once again, just remember, while it is super important to have complex passwords like that, and especially a different password, actually, yes, this is a good point. You want to make sure you have different passwords for different logins, because what happens if you also use this password for your bank, for your, for all sorts of things, your Amazon account, who knows? If you use the same password all around, you can be sure that an attacker is going to be logging into all of those other things as well. So this is where something like a password manager comes into play. It can be really handy, because that way, even if your Gmail account is compromised, at least you have a bit more protection on other sites as well. So that concludes this lab, Lab 2, Social Engineering Attacks with Social Engineering Toolkit. Thanks a lot for watching.